What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about how The Last of Us TV show is going to be changing things up from the game. Now, this to me goes into a a category or discussion about is this kind of a no-win situation to begin with, and I think I want to explore that in a different video altogether. You guys will have to let me know if that's something you want to see. But Neil Druckmann, this was a few days ago, but I thought this was a pretty important story to kind of talk about. He talked about how basically and if you read the interview, the clicker prosthetics are done, he's seen what that looks like, and they've written actually several episodes of the show, so things are moving seemingly very, very quickly with the show, and there actually are quite a couple other kind of tidbits in this interview. But one of the biggest things that stood out, and kind of what everybody's making the articles about, is that the show is going to, number one, the season 1 is going to be the first game, so it's going to be not a one-to-one thing, and that's kind of the whole point, but it's going to be, the first game. And then how they do that will be changed. There will be things that are going to be flat out different. So let's read what Neil Druckmann said, and then we'll talk about if it's going to be just a pure disaster. And by the way, I love the first game. I think it's a universal kind of love game. Yes, there's some people that said, it's too much like this, or it didn't do this or that. So here's what he said. We talked at length that season 1 of the show is going to be the first game, he explained. He then revealed that for him and Mazin, the philosophical underpinnings of the story were vital elements in getting the HBO adaptation right. As far as the superficial things, like should a character wear the same plaid shirt or the same red shirt, they may or may not appear in it. That's way less important to us than getting the core of who these people are and the core of their journey. While not revealing anything specific, Druckmann did hint at the kind of content level to detail that we can perhaps expect from TV series and how it may resemble its source material. Things sometimes stay pretty close. It's funny to see my dialogue there from the games and HBO scripts, and sometimes they deviate greatly to much better effect because we are dealing with a different medium. For example, in the game, there's so much action, you have to train the player about mechanics. You have to have more violence and more spectacle to some degree than you would need on a TV show because you don't need to train people on how to use a gun. So that's something that's been very, really different, and HBO's been great in pushing us to move away from hardcore action and focus more on the drama of the character. Some of my favorite episodes so far have deviated greatly from the story, and I can't wait for people to see them. Then he talked about the clicker. I just saw the first prosthetic test for the clicker, and it's awesome. It's so rad to see this thing come to physical life. Okay, so here's the deal. There's a couple layers to this. One small thing I'd like to point out is while there looks like if they don't wear the same clothes, it's not, I guess, as important as nailing the character. I would still say it's kind of important. Now, maybe that's just me, but if you're adapting something and you're using the exact same characters and you're telling the exact same story, but you're going to change it up just a little bit, I want them to be the characters from what you're adapting it from. So, again, and I guess I'd even go Nathan Drake. If he was wearing stuff that just made no sense for Nathan Drake to wear, I would be pretty darn upset. Now, it's very clear they're going with Uncharted 3 Nathan Drake look, which is completely fine by me. I'm not saying you have to wear the exact same clothes, but just something, resembling what they would wear. And I know that's a nitpick, but again, Pedro Pascal, I think I like that. I like that choice. It's a very different choice. I wouldn't have picked him, but I think that's a pretty solid choice for Joel. If you're going to do that, though, I would like to see him wear similar, if not the... And by the way, is it that hard to wear a plaid shirt? So that kind of thing is kind of odd. And again, I understand what he's saying. So more of a positive to Neil and more of a positive to the show. I understand completely what he's talking about with the whole mechanics, and you don't need to make it as action-y and stuff like that. You can focus more on the characters. That makes sense because, yeah, in the game, you're teaching us how crafting works. You have to craft. You have to, do your skill points. You have to, all this stuff. You have to teach us what a clicker does. You have to teach us how to throw a bottle to, attract them. There is so much stuff you have to teach in a video game, and that, obviously... You get pulled out of the game a little bit when you do something like that. So I get removing that changes things for the show. And in fact, I think it'd actually make a much better show, right? In fact, you can even do meta stuff in it, which I don't think they would actually do. But and by meta, I would mean they could. I would like to see somebody craft something in the show, like open their book bag, unzip it, like make even the noises or whatever. Like I think that would kind of be funny, but also kind of it would be actually practical, right? If they're actually making things. So we'll have to see, how all of that stuff actually works. But I understand that part. The part that does worry me was one of those last quotes. Some of my favorite episodes so far have deviated greatly from the story, and I can't wait for people to see them. So his favorite episodes are not even the story that the game is. I mean, yes, I'm changing what he's saying, but not really. He literally said the story, okay? And he's talking about his story that he wrote for The Last of Us, and some of his favorite episodes are ones that go down kind of a different path. Now, unless he means that they go down a very character-driven path where we get to explore a lot of different stuff. Like, say, Bill's Town. We know a lot about Bill if you read stuff, which, again, they're not going to be able to do in a TV show. And that's another thing, right? A lot of The Last of Us, Uncharted 4, Last of Us Part 2, a lot of those worlds were built about reading things. You're constantly reading and you're learning about an area or a survivor or a person or, whatever. For Uncharted, obviously, it was telling the story of Avery and all this stuff. Like, that's how you're getting a lot of the information. The story is very fundamental and provides not even just bare bones. I think it provides more than just bare bones. But if you really want all there is to know about what's going on with different groups and all that stuff, you have to pick up and read stuff. So, again, that's something that you're not going to be able to do in a TV show. You're going to have to kind of explain it or show it. You'll have to show it. So, I'm not opposed to him and them, right? I'm not opposed to them doing different stuff. I'm not. I would like to see The Last of Us 1 told well, and then if they want to go down different routes and show us different stuff with different characters, that's fine. As long as they expand them, as long as they stay true to their core. I think the thing that scares me the most is that, like it or not, Neil did change a lot of these characters going from Last of Us to Last of Us Part 2. I mean, whether you loved the change or hated the change, he did. So now in a TV show, now yes, it's not just him. He has a lot of other people working on it. But, if they try to do the same thing where they're like, well, let's just mix stuff like this up or let's add stuff. I mean, what you have is a pretty perfect game. I mean, maybe not perfect in every respect, but a game that is so respectable, just 10s across the board. And not that I care what critics think, because I don't, but also like we all. I mean, me personally, it's one of my favorite games of all time. I mean, when I played that game, my dear God, I mean, it really did. I mean, it was so good. I don't even know the words to say for it, but it really is so perfect in that way that you don't need to mess with it all that much. I would say don't even make I don't want this in the first place. Don't make a TV show, because the odds of you messing it up are absolutely higher than you literally doing it perfect and somehow recreating a perfect game as a perfect TV show. The odds of that are not nearly as high as you absolutely messing it up. And that's kind of where I stand. And that's where, again, like if you guys like this video, I can definitely do another one talking about, is it doomed to fail? Because I kind of think it is. No matter what, the best they can do is trying to get as close to perfect or as close to the game as they can, but most likely they're going to come under it, in which case, why make it in the... You know what I mean? Like, then that's not probably a good idea. So that's kind of where I stand on the entire thing. Again, I don't hate any of these people. I don't, I don't wish for them to lose jobs or anything, but I just don't think this was necessary, and I'm not really sold on this being good, because I really think there's loads of opportunities for it to be bad, and deviating from the story and doing different things we've never seen before, yes, that's fine, but if you are, and again, like, that's okay, but like Uncharted, so Uncharted is literally a new story, but they made that very clear. It's a prequel to 1. So we've never seen this stuff before, but Chloe's in it, obviously Nate's in it, Sully's in it, and we're going to tell a story that hopefully, these characters feel right, but they get to do their own thing. So that's fine. I can't really criticize them and say, well, hey, they did their own thing. Like, why they do that? Well, they told me that was the whole point of it. For this TV show, the point is to retell the game. It's to season 1 will be game 1. Who knows? Will season 2 be game 2? So, you know what I mean? So the whole point of the HBO show is to retell the game in TV show form. So now I can criticize them if they do new things and it's bad, or it makes no sense, or it takes away from the base story, or I was going to say base game, because that's what they're doing it off of, right? I feel like we have every right to call it out and criticize it, because That's not the point. The point's to retell it, okay? So that's kind of where I stand with it. So let me know, guys, in the comments below, what do you think? Do you think this, could potentially fail? Do you think that they have this in the bag? This will be fine? Let me know. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on so you know all these videos go up. I do a brand new video on this channel every single day, and so I hope to see you guys for tomorrow's video.